Charlie's, and we heard about his activities. He was considered among all of the Indians that we spoke with the best canoe builder they had. And we went down using Big Cypress at that time, and we went down to Big Cypress and put up our camp and went over to see him at his place. He was very gracious, invited us in, had a great sense of humor, spoke very little English, and which was fine because I didn't speak any Indian. That's right. So we got along famously, and he was in the process of doing that canoe that you see. Now, I did several sketches of it at the time, and I think I did a couple of paintings. I have no idea where they are or how they ever turned out. I have a vague memory of them. But when I was asked by your people that you were having this exhibit, which, by the way, is pretty wonderful. I think it's a lovely exhibit you put on here. If I could do something that was sort of local, Charlie Cypress came to mind, so I did that painting all from memory. And I had a good time doing it. I don't know if anybody here, I'm sure most of you do, you have often a better time remembering an event than you did when you actually experienced it. That was the case with Charlie Cypress, myself, and this canoe. As I said, I think we met him in 1958, and then he kept inviting us back, and we had him over to our little camp. And by the way, when you invite people on the reservation, you make sure you feed them. And you have enough, because they'll at the last minute remember about 8 or 6 other relatives, and they'll bring them along. They'll stuff a Chevrolet full of Indians. You'll see them pile out of the car, and they've all come to eat. So, and they don't like spaghetti with tomatoes in it. I just wanted to give you, next time you're on the reservation, remember that, because they spent most of their time picking the tomatoes out of the spaghetti. Now, we had a lovely time with Charlie, but a short time. He died in 1960. And I don't know how old he was. He's quite an old man. And so his particular method of hollowing out logs is no longer practiced, to my knowledge. I don't know of anybody who does it. So if you can ever get your hands on a canoe that Charlie Cypress built, you've got the real McCoy. That's really all I have to say about Charlie and the canoes. But I did promise Jackie I'd tell the story about a little event that happened to us when we first moved, Joni and I first moved out to the reservation on Brighton. We had a mongrel dog, Andy, about this high. Total coward, beautiful, lovely, lovely animal. And he was afraid of everything. We got him out of the pound. And he was almost an adult, so nobody wanted him. And all the other dogs were trying to get our attention, but Andy stayed up on a shelf and was looking up at the ceiling, rolling his eyes. So we wanted him. And we got him. And we took him to the reservation with us. And I had built what we call our gypsy cart. Somebody had loaned me a little flatbed trailer. It was 6 feet by 8 feet. And on top of that, I built our bedroom and our kitchen and anything else you could name. I put a double bed mattress right on it. And Joni and the dog and I used to sleep on this mattress. And it was all screened in nicely. But Joan wanted to lie out in the Everglades with clear plastic on the roof so that we could lie there at night and enjoy the beautiful moon and the stars and And so I obliged. I had some clear plastic I got from a friend who had a flower farm, and I stapled that stuff all over the top. And we went tootling out to the reservation Indians out of our minds. And the gypsy cart was a good description of it. We moved that into a hammock, and we'd been there a couple of days. And one night, Joan got me awake and said, something's wrong with Andy. And I looked over, and Andy was standing, and every hair on the dog's body was standing straight out. But he didn't make a sound. Nothing. And I noticed something odd. All of the tree toads and night bugs had stopped. There was no noise. Nothing. Nothing going on. Couldn't hear anything. It was just very, very still and very, very dark. So we all just sort of lay there for about a half hour. And finally the hair started going down on the dog. And the dog began to relax. He curled up between us and started snoring. And it was my habit to, we had rigged a little tarpaulin out from this gypsy cart. And it was my habit in the evening, I worked all day on paintings. I would lay them out flat on this little rough table I'd made that out of wood we found around the reservations all over the place. And I went out there that following morning, and there were these great big puma tracks right across the wet canvas. And I could see where she probably jumped up on top of the edge of the gypsy cart, and seeing it was all clear plastic. Of course, we were all sound asleep, except Andy. And she tested. We could see where she put, because she had the paint on her paws. She tested that plastic and was smart enough to understand that it wouldn't support her. So she turned around, back around. We could see it there quite clearly, and jumped down and was gone. She would have killed all of us if she had tried to walk on that, fallen through, just trying to get out of there. She would have made a mess of every one of us. So that was the, from then on, Jackie, I thatched the top of that roof. We could drive a Mack truck up there. There's nothing but get up on top and jump up and down. So that's my story about the Panther.
That's great.
Thank you all for coming. Isn't this a great job what they've done here?
Great. Jim Hutchinson, artist, Florida Hall of Fame winner.
If you like that story.